The sound of expensive heels clicking against polished marble echoed through the pristine lobby of Hartwell Industries like a countdown to disaster. Rebecca Hartwell, a 35, Harvard MBA, Forbes 30 Under 30 alumna, strode through her empire with the cold precision of a surgeon making an incision. Her tailored Armani suit cost more than most people's monthly salary, and she wore her reputation for ruthlessness like armor. Today, that armor would be tested in ways she never imagined. In the basement of the gleaming corporate tower, Marcus Rodriguez pushed his cleaning cart down the fluorescent-lit hallway, whistling a tune his grandmother used to hum while making tamales. At 52, Marcus had worked as a janitor for Hartwell Industries for 15 years. His weathered hands told stories of hard work, sacrifice, and dreams deferred. While executives in glass offices moved millions with a keystroke, Marcus moved through shadows, invisible yet essential, keeping their world spotless. What nobody knew were not the sneering middle managers who barely acknowledged his existence, not the security guards who watched him with suspicious eyes, not even Rebecca herself. Was that Marcus held 3 engineering degrees from Universidad Nacional de Colombia. In another life, before immigration papers and language barriers and desperate circumstances, he had designed engines that could power small cities. Now, he designed nothing but clean floors and empty trash cans. The crisis began at 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday that started like any other. Rebecca stood in the executive conference room, her voice sharp as a blade as she addressed the emergency board meeting. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, rain hammered against the glass like nature itself was angry. "Gentlemen, we have 72 hours, she announced, her emerald eyes scanning the faces around the mahogany table. "The Pentagon contractor worth $250 million. It depends entirely on our prototype engine. If we can't make it work, Hartwell Industries will lose everything." Board member James Wellington, his silver mustache twitching with barely concealed panic, leaned forward. "Rebecca, we've had our best engineers working around the clock for months. The engine keeps overheating. Maybe we should consider Consider what? Failure?" Rebecca's laugh was ice cold. "I didn't build this company from my father's failing garage business to give up now. Someone in this building will fix that engine, or they'll all be looking for new jobs." As if summoned by her fury, the head of engineering, Dr. Patricia Chen, burst through the conference room doors, her usually perfect composure shattered. "Miss Hartwell, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we have a problem. The engine just suffered a catastrophic malfunction. The main cooling system is completely fried, and the combustion chamber has microscopic fractures we can't identify, let alone repair." Rebecca's jaw tightened. "Then fix it." "We can't. We've tried everything. The design is fundamentally flawed, but we can't figure out where." "It's like trying to solve a puzzle when half the pieces are missing." The room fell silent except for the rain's relentless drumming. Rebecca walked to the window, her reflection staring back with eyes that had never known defeat. Behind her, the board members whispered like mourners at a funeral. "Bring the engine to the main lobby," Rebecca commanded suddenly, her voice cutting through their murmurs. "If none of my $100,000 a year engineers can fix it, then maybe divine intervention will." Dr. Chen blinked. "Ma'am, you heard me. Set it up right there in the lobby where everyone can see it, and make an announcement to anyone, and I mean anyone in this building who can fix that engine will receive a promotion, $100,000 bonus, and..." Rebecca paused, a cruel smile playing at her lips. "I'll personally marry them." The lobby buzzed with nervous energy as word spread through the building like wildfire. Employees gathered in clusters, phones out, recording what they assumed would be either a miracle or a spectacular corporate meltdown. The engine was sleek, sophisticated piece of machinery the size of a washing machine sat in the center of the marble floor like a mechanical altar. Rebecca stood before it, her arms crossed, radiating the kind of confidence that comes from never having been proven wrong. "Ladies and gentlemen," she announced, her voice carrying to every corner of the expansive space, "this engine represents the future of our company. My team of experts says it can't be fixed. I say someone in this building has what it takes. Step forward, prove me right, and claim your reward." Engineers approached first, their confidence evaporating as quickly as it came. Each left shaking their heads, muttering about impossibilities and design flaws. Marketing executives tried next, followed by ambitious interns and desperate middle managers. All failed. As the afternoon wore on, Rebecca's smile grew sharper, more predatory. "Anyone else? Or should I assume that 1,500 employees can't accomplish what one determined person should be able to do?" That's when Marcus appeared. He had been cleaning the upper floors when the commotion started, but curiosity, the dangerous, wonderful human trait, drew him downstairs. He stood at the edge of the crowd, his maintenance uniform marking him as surely as a neon sign. Someone noticed him first, then another, until ripples of whispered laughter spread through the gathered employees. "Look, even the janitor wants to try," someone snickered. Rebecca followed their gaze, her eyes landing on Marcus with the dismissive glance she reserved for furniture. "Oh, this is rich. Please, come forward. Let's see what miracles our maintenance staff can perform." Marcus felt every eye in the room on him, felt the weight of their mockery and Rebecca's disdain. For a moment, he almost turned away. Almost. Then he remembered his daughter Sophia, studying engineering at community college with dreams bigger than her circumstances. He remembered his son Miguel, ashamed to tell his friends what his father did for a living. He remembered the man he used to be, before pride became a luxury he couldn't afford. He walked forward, his work boots silent on the marble floor. "Sir," Rebecca said, the word dripping with condescension, "I appreciate your enthusiasm, but this is a complex piece of engineering that has stumped PhDs. I'm not sure what you think you can accomplish with a mop and good intentions." Marcus looked at the engine, really looked at it, and something stirred in his chest, a recognition, like greeting an old friend. He knelt beside it, his hands hovering over the machinery with the reverence of a pianist approaching a Steinway. "May I?" he asked quietly. Rebecca's laugh was sharp enough to cut glass. "Oh, by all means. When you're finished playing mechanic, perhaps you can get back to ensuring our bathrooms are properly sanitized." Marcus's hands found the engine's access panel. His fingers, rough from years of cleaning supplies and hard work, moved with surprising precision. The crowd pressed closer, their whispers growing louder. Someone started recording video. "This is embarrassing," Rebecca muttered to Dr. Chen. "Stop this before air." She was interrupted by a sound none of them had heard in months, the engine turning over, smooth as silk. Marcus had removed a small component, examined it with eyes that saw what others missed, and made an adjustment so subtle it was almost invisible. The engine purred to life, its hum perfect and strong. The lobby fell silent. Marcus stood slowly, wiping his hands on a cloth from his pocket. The thermal expansion coefficient of the secondary cooling manifold was incorrectly calculated, he said quietly, his slight accent making the technical words sound like poetry. It was creating microscopic stress fractures that compounded under heat. A simple adjustment to the alloy composition ratio fixed the underlying structural weakness. Rebecca stared at him, her mouth opening and closing like a fish pulled from water. That's impossible. You're a janitor." "I am a man who cleans buildings." "Yes," Marcus replied, his dignity intact despite years of being invisible. I am also a man who once designed engines for power plants in Bogota. I am a man who came to this country with nothing but help and found work wherever I could. I am a man who has watched your engineers struggle with this problem for months, knowing the solution but believing no one would listen to the janitor. The crowd stirred, their mockery transforming into something else, shame, perhaps, or recognition of a truth they had been blind to. Rebecca's composure cracked like ice in spring. You knew how to fix it this whole time? I knew within 5 minutes of seeing the specifications posted in the engineering break room. I have cleaned that room for 3 years, Miss Hartwell. I have seen every blueprint, every failed calculation, every frustrated discussion. I understand this engine better than the people who built it because I understand the theory behind it. The weight of his words settled over the room like snow. Rebecca looked around at the faces watching here, some sympathetic, others judgmental, all waiting to see what kind of person she truly was. Why didn't you say something sooner? She whispered. Marcus's smile was sad but not bitter. Would you have listened? When was the last time you spoke to me, Miss Hartwell? When was the last time any of you saw me as more than the man who empties your trash? The silence that followed was deafening. Rebecca felt something crack inside her chest, not her ribs, but something deeper. The armor she had worn for so long was finally breaking. You're right, she said, her voice barely audible. We wouldn't have listened. I wouldn't have listened. She looked at the engine, still humming perfectly, then back at Marcus. You saved my company. You saved my career. You saved everything I've worked for. And I treated you like you were invisible. Tears are foreign, uncomfortable things are gathered in her eyes. I owe you more than money can repay. Marcus studied her face, seeing past the expensive suit and cold reputation to something vulnerable underneath. You owe me nothing, Miss Hartwell, but you owe something to every person in this building who you've never really seen. Rebecca nodded, understanding flooding through her like dawn breaking. She turned to address the crowd, her voice stronger now. Marcus Rodriguez will be our new chief of engineering, effective immediately. Dr. Chen, you'll work with him to review every project with fresh eyes. And Marcus. She paused, remembering her earlier promise, spoken in arrogance and now returned to her in humility. About that marriage proposal, I believe I made you an offer. The crowd held its breath. Marcus looked at this woman, a brilliant, driven, broken in ways she was just beginning to understand her, and saw not a CEO to be conquered, but a person to be known. Ask me again in 6 months, he said gently. After you've learned my last name. After you've met my children. After you know who I am when I'm not holding a mop. Rebecca's laugh came from somewhere deep and genuine, a sound her employees had never heard. Deal, Mr. Rodriguez. Deal. As the crowd dispersed, buzzing with excitement and revelation, Rebecca remained beside the purring engine. The sound that had once represented her potential failure now represented something far more valuably, the beginning of her education in seeing people as they truly are, not as their job titles define them. In the months that followed, Hartwell Industries transformed not just its engineering department, but its culture. Rebecca learned the names of every employee, their stories, their dreams. She discovered that her security guard was a published poet, that her receptionist was studying law at night, that her maintenance staff included 2 former teachers, a retired pilot, and a woman who had once been a surgeon in her home country. And yes, 6 months later, when Marcus asked Rebecca to dinner, not as employee to boss, but as one human being to an author, she said yes. Because sometimes the most important repairs aren't to engines at all, but to the hearts that have forgotten how to see the extraordinary in the ordinary, the profound in the simple, the beautiful in what we've trained ourselves to overlook. The engine still runs perfectly. But what Marcus fixed that day was so much more than machinery. He fixed the dangerous blindness that keeps us from recognizing the gifts that surround us, waiting patiently for us to finally open our eyes.